This is episode 11 of the Gambling Still Sucks podcast. This is an episode for family and friends. Hey there, and welcome to the Gambling Still Sucks podcast. My name is Jamie. I am a compulsive gambler, and I'm also the host of this show. The last day I gambled was July 15th of 2010. Now, if you're listening to this because a friend, a family member, a significant other has sent you this episode, I just want to introduce myself. I started this podcast to help other compulsive gamblers, just to sort of get the message out that they're not alone, they're not dumb, they're not any of these things, they just have a disorder. And compulsive gambling is classified as a disorder. The good news for you at this point is that it is completely treatable. And I always like to stress the fact that gambling disorder is completely treatable. I am one of the people that have been treated and have found a successful life, and I no longer struggle on a day-to-day basis. As you can probably already guess, the person that sent you this, they have a gambling problem. Why I created this episode is because as gamblers, we struggle with how to bring this up to family, friends, and loved ones. And so I wanted to create this episode that somebody could just share, because in the grips of a gambling illness, we're not strong enough to share. And it's not that we don't want to. And that's one thing I want to get very clear up front. We desperately want your help, your love, your support. We just aren't able to ask for it. It's part of the addiction. It's part of the illness. We feel like we need to fix it ourselves. And then once we fix it ourselves, nobody will have to know about it. And we won't have to inflict any additional pain, because in a lot of times we've lied to you. We've cheated you. We've done things that we're not proud of. And so that's part of why we're not able to come clean to you, is just we're so ashamed, we're so embarrassed of all these things that we're not able to tell you the truth. And yet we desperately want to, because everybody in recovery, when you ask them, what should you do? One of the first things is you need to tell your family. You need to tell your significant other. And it's by far the hardest thing. I personally was not able to just come out and do this on my own. It took me actually getting caught gambling in order to come clean to friends and family. I'd gotten to a very low point in my life. And again, I'll go back to the fact that I wanted help. And I reached out a few times, but I didn't fully come clean. When you have those little white lies, it just makes it even harder and harder to share and to actually come clean to your friends and family. So I just want to emphasize that your friend or family member, they're struggling, they're hurting, they're probably having financial struggles, but even more so, it's the emotional struggles. The weight of an addiction, and especially a gambling addiction, is incredible. It just feels like you have no way out. The only way out that we can see is to go back and gamble. And it's that we need to get this money, and we think it's a money issue, and we think that we just need to keep going back. And while we lost before, we probably at some point had some significant win, and your significant other will probably share with you that significant win and how it changed their thinking. And it made them think, okay, this could be a different way to get to the success that they want. And that sort of segues. For me personally, I know a lot of my compulsive gambling was tied to trying to please other people. I wanted to be successful. I wanted to be viewed as successful. I didn't want to be viewed as a failure. And I wanted to get to that success quickly. And so eventually I took to poker, and I was pretty good at it. And it was something that I thought, okay, hey, this is something I can do to make money and get to this level of success. And we do it. It seems like such a selfish act. And I know right now you're probably thinking, you're probably mad already. You're upset. How can they possibly fall for this? And I just want to say millions of us fall into this trap. And as you'll learn, the casinos and the game makers make it very easy for people to fall into this trap. A lot of very intelligent people, very high-performing people get caught up in a gambling addiction. And I would like to consider myself one of those. I was a 4.0 student. I graduated cum laude from college. I started my own business. I was good at sports. All these different things in my life don't really add up on the surface to what you would imagine as a compulsive gambler or a problem gambler. So as I mentioned, the person that sent you this, they're hurting. They don't know how to say it. They want to come clean to you. And so I created this episode as a way for people to send it off to hopefully I can be their voice. I can be that intermediary that can sort of prep you and get you to understand the illness and the disorder a little bit more before you even talk to them, because they're so hesitant. And one of the things that we're hesitant about is that we just don't want to feel disconnected. We don't want to be cut out. And one of the biggest concerns I see, especially from kids, when it comes to telling their parents is, look, my dad's going to be so mad at me, like they're going to throw me out of the house. And as a parent myself, I have 2 young kids. They can't understand what I see, which is, yeah, I might be disappointed. I may even be really upset about it, but I just want them to get help. And as long as they're taking steps to get help, then I'm okay with, I can understand that, hey, they got caught up in something. It became bigger than they ever expected. And really, that's what gambling is. It's a snowball that starts really small, but then it starts to pick up steam and more steam, and it gets bigger and it gets bigger. And all of a sudden, you're having this giant boulder, and you're not sure how to get rid of it. And the only way in our mind, as I said earlier, is just to keep gambling. So that's a little bit about the background of myself, and hopefully provides you with a little bit of insight and starts to prepare you for the conversation you're going to have with them. Now, I want to make this very, very clear. I do not advocate you giving money. If I were in your shoes, I wouldn't give a person money for 6 months, maybe a year, to help with financials. I know that, yes, they probably have credit card debt or high interest debt. And if you are in a position where you can help them, you want to help them. But I would encourage you to delay that. And part of that is because they need to take the steps they need. And just getting a bailout isn't going to help them. I know I had that bailout. I used that several times. And because I didn't treat the problem, I just treated the financial end of the problem kept coming back. And so by no means am I telling you to bail them out financially. In fact, quite the opposite. Like I said, put some stipulation on it that you feel comfortable with, that you're not going to financially help, even if you can, for X amount of time. Because what they need to do, and really gambling is a habit. It's a habit that we develop over time. And they're going to have to break that habit over time, just like any other habit. And so it's going to take some time in order for progress to be made in reprogramming that habit and kind of removing that habit and replacing it with more positive habits. So this is by no means me telling you to bail them out financially. In fact, like I say, I would suggest not to do that and to delay that as long as possible. Even if financially you're a smart financial person and you say that doesn't make financial sense, I know, but it's what works. So how do you bring this up? How do you address it? And I'll just speak from my personal experience. When I got caught, I was very lucky. I had a fiance that this was right before our wedding, and she looked at me and she said, "You have a problem. You're going to get help." And she even mentioned that I was lucky that she watched a lot of intervention, and it's true. She had seen people that had problems with addiction, but then went, got help, and had lived a normal life. I really think there was no judgment. Disappointed. Yeah, 60 days before your wedding, that's pretty disappointing to find out that your significant other that you're planning to spend the rest of your life with is back gambling when you thought they had quit. So yeah, there was no minimal amount of disappointment. There was a lot of disappointment. There was a lot of frustration. And this comes from all of my family members. I know they were, but they told me they believed in me. I don't know if that's something you want to talk about. I mean, share your feelings, share your beliefs, share that you know they can do it. But again, make sure that that is followed up by the fact that you know they can do it, but they need to do it. They're going to take the actions in order to facilitate the change that they want so desperately and that you want to see in them. Another thing that I think is important and maybe part of your discussion is just share a few of your struggles. I think we all look up to, whether it's our parents, our significant other. I mean, we're in the generation where everybody sees everybody's highlight films on Facebook, on Instagram. We see all the good things, and we don't know about the struggles. We don't know about the times where mom or dad really went through a rough time. And part of that is flip it from what I said earlier, which is you were just trying to protect them, right? Your kids didn't need to know that you were going through a struggle at work and that you were worried about losing your job. Or maybe you did lose your job and you had to find other employment. You didn't tell them or let on that you were in financial issues because you didn't want to create stress on them. And in a lot of ways, that's what your kids are doing or your significant other's doing. So share your experiences. Share that, look, nobody's perfect. And I always tell people, look, your parents were screw-ups too. I'm a parent, I'm a screw-up. We all go through things. That's part of being human. Part of being human is that you have screwed up at some point or another. And so it's really hard for people to see from the outside because we don't always share those struggles. So if you have a struggle or two, I would encourage you, use this as a time to share it. It's going to strengthen your relationship with this person that you love. And they sent you this because they love you. And I think that goes without saying, but I want to point out that this person really cares about you. The fact that they're willing to share this and they're finally ready to get help and that they think this is a way that they can introduce it to you and kind of to soften that introduction because they don't know how. Or, they know what words they have in their head, but they're just frightened. And this is that little step that they're taking to hopefully create a bridge between the two of you. And one other thing I want to point out is that gambling is often viewed differently than a substance abuse. Substance abuse, we're set to believe that, okay, if you take something long enough, it creates a hook and you can no longer control it. And with mental health issues, and that's what gambling is, a mental health disorder, we view it differently. It's like you should have some choice over that. And that's just a societal thing, I believe, that we view mental health as something we should be in control of, both personally, and we expect that level of control in others. When substance abuse, any of those types of things, we view it differently as well. So I'm going to shut up here shortly, but I just wanted to kind of be the link, provide this as a resource to hopefully give a voice to your loved one that's struggling and they want to reach out for help. And hopefully this is a means that they use to reach out to you. So like I said, I hope that you can understand, be compassionate, show empathy, share some of your struggles, but also be tough with them. Tell them they need to get help. My advice always is to come completely clean. Don't leave anything, not one little thing behind, because it always comes out in the end and will ruin your trust in the end. So they may share, hopefully they will share every last detail with you. And so hopefully you can create an environment where they feel comfortable sharing all of those rough details because they just need to purge it. They need to get it all out. But then they need to start taking action. And I always advocate, if you have family, if you have a significant other, give them the money. It's really hard to gamble if you don't have access to money. And people complain, oh, I feel like a 14-year-old. I feel like a kid again. Well, we were acting like kids. So that's just something we need to do. It's part of that reprogramming. And if we don't have access to the money, it makes it really easy to not gamble because we don't have access to money. And so set up a system where they can be more responsible with their money by giving up the reins. And then finally, help them get to treatment. I'm a big believer in Gamblers Anonymous. They're going to push back. A lot of people don't want to go to GA. Nobody wants to go to GA. I didn't want to go to GA, but my wife said, you're going to go. Here's the meeting and go. And it's been one of the best things for me. I've also done one-on-one therapy, which has been really, really good. Most addictions have some underlying condition or experience. And so personal one-on-one therapy can be very, very good in helping them work through their struggles. So finally, I just want to say thank you. Thank you for listening to this. I really hope it helps. I hope that this lays the groundwork for what can be a foundation that's a stable foundation between you and your loved one to create a program of recovery in which they can live a very happy life, because gambling addiction is one of the number one addictions when it comes to suicidal thoughts. And it's just one of those things we don't see any other way out, and we don't want to hurt those loved ones. So I hope that we can prevent some of that by starting to create this dialogue between you and your loved one and get them into the help they need. Be tough with them, but love them, understand them, and dig into it. Read some of the other blogs that are out there on gambling. You can read mine. You can listen to other podcasts. The more that you start to understand it, I think the more comfortable you'll be and really understand how they think, why they're thinking. Because I've been in your shoes. I've actually had a loved one, a good friend, that they were struggling with an addiction, and it was a gambling addiction. And I was just like, you just got to quit. And I set up every system and I gave them money. I did all those things, and yet they still did it. And I didn't fully understand why. And so I think dig into it. Hopefully you can learn more about the addiction in order to help your loved one. Thank you very much. Please reach out to them. Tell them you love them. You know they can recover, but that they need to start taking some of these actions, and you're going to be there to help them through it. Now, before you go, I'd like to go over a few very important things. First of all, I think it's important to remember that problem gambling is a treatable disorder. There's no scientific evidence or study that suggests that this is just a terminal condition and that we're going to be forced to deal with the negative side effects and results of our actions for the rest of our lives. And so while I know that in the moment it feels like this is something that you're going to be struggling with for the rest of your life, science just doesn't back that up. Recovery is real, but we just need to seek out treatment. And so that brings me to point number 2, which is that help is available. Many of the states here in the United States actually offer free counseling and therapy for not only gamblers, but family members as well. And so you just need to know that these programs are available. And the best way to start finding out more information is to call the hotline number. And that's 1-800-522-4700. Again, that's 1-800-522-4700. And this is the number run by the National Council on Problem Gambling. And so it covers all 50 states, and they're going to have information and be able to start to guide you on the path to seek out help in the area where you live. And these hotlines aren't just available here in the United States. They're available around the world. So just simply open up a web browser, type in gambling help, gambling hotline, and you'll be able to find the information for your local area. In addition to the hotlines, there are numerous places where you can find gambling support and information online. If you go to gamblingstillsucks.com/help, I'll list some of these things, and I'll continue to add to this as I find new resources, whether they're chat groups or online forums or just great information. So again, that was gamblingstillsucks.com/help. As a disclaimer, this podcast does not provide legal or medical advice. Look, I'm not a doctor, a therapist, or an attorney. I'm just a guy who had a gambling problem. So while we'll discuss a lot of topics and I'll provide a lot of insight into what's worked for me, please seek out the help of a professional. Go visit a lawyer, a doctor, or a therapist to help you deal with your gambling problem. The information that we discuss is for informational purposes and should not be taken as professional legal or medical advice. And reliance on the information appearing on the podcast is solely at your own risk. The music for this podcast is Something Elated by Broke for Free and licensed under the Creative Commons.